today's Urbandoned video, we continue our exploration inside the abandoned British Airways Flight Training Centre, which is on such a huge scale that it took us 2 full videos to document its interior. Last time, we began the infiltration of the immense site in the early morning light, enjoying the views from the highest rooftop before searching the property's office spaces, teaching areas, recreational rooms and simulator chambers for interest. This half contains the better sections of the complex that we discovered later on in our visit. Join us as we wander through the many buildings in our biggest exploration to date. Remember to click subscribe and press the notification bell to never miss a video.
Blinkist is an app that aims to expand your knowledge on up to 4,500 non-fictional topics under 27 different categories. You may either read through a 15-minute text or use the audio explanations to enjoy your favourite blinks. The application condenses the key information for you, which is perfect when you're short on time. Blinkist became a huge asset to our road trips over the last year due to the ability to enjoy a blink in between explores in close proximities instead of listening to a full podcast like we'd usually do. On our shorter drives between locations, Blinkist allows us to store all of our favourite blinks on one device, which is a great help to us as a group. We can then delve into topics that we usually wouldn't choose to investigate. You can easily connect with pre-existing passions or stumble across new ones to help progress yourself further. A particular favourite of ours is caring about what you're sharing. This blink discusses the habit of capturing and sharing images online over being in the moment itself. We can all relate to this blink as we tend to question whether we enjoy the actual explore or capturing the location over one another. It helps us question the reasoning behind sharing some of these abandonments publicly. There are an array of popular titles on Blinkist under all the unique categories. Our favourite group blink is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which helps with gaining confidence to then go and live a happier and less stressful life. We strongly recommend you try Blinkist for yourself. If you're interested in trying the app, they have arranged a one-time offer for our audience. Click the link at the top of our description to start your 7-day free trial and get 25% off a premium membership.
We had explored the training centre for a number of hours, but had still only breached the surface of the campus, ending part 1 as we left the repetitive office blocks and glimpsed our first sighting of rare motion simulator chambers that were especially unique to the building. Despite spotting security patrols a few times outside the premises, we were yet to be threatened by them and were comfortably walking in and out of the facility, losing concern every minute. In many ways, we were becoming lost in the never-ending maze of corridors and rooms that all started to look alike. On multiple occasions, we returned to a part of the site that we had already seen, but eventually we came across a battered structure towards the rear end of the grounds, which we realised we had passed through en route to the roof during sunrise. This bit's so much more decayed. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it was out of use for longer. Yeah, look at some of these rooms with the moss. This is like my ideal abandoned place. Bit of stuff left behind and just great natural decay.
Look at the tiny droplets of water on the moss. Wow.
at the way the wallpaper's coming off and blowing in the wind. This decay is awesome. Oh wow. Whole classroom set up. Instantly, this decaying region caught our eye because it was so different to the rest of the training college. Whether this building had been mothballed prior to the closure of the whole property, or its design was outdated and faulty, causing consistent water damage, we aren't sure, but it was truly special to pass through. On the other side of the deteriorated corridor, a stripped one without nature's reclamation took us to another vast room that formerly would have held a simulator. It's hard to walk over these floors, and they're like this. There's another chamber here. Oh, it's a little conference room, literally, with everything in there. I prefer the decayed ones though. No simulator in here. Some weird decor. Engineering training. Wow. It's crazy. It's like the full classroom and they're studying what looks like the interface of the control room of a plane. The cockpit. I think. It's in a lot of detail though. Got to be smart to be a pilot. It felt as if the British Airways' own structure kept on giving. The time capsule classrooms that looked as if they had been vacated mid-session amazed us, with a beautiful mix of belongings remaining and stunning natural decay. Cool glass corridor. God almighty, this place is massive. Another flight simulator chamber. I think that's like 6 or 7 now. Jesus. Okay, this is the best staircase I've seen. Very Art Deco. I like the way it curves as well. Really nice. This building looks like it's in the worst condition of any we've seen. Don't think I'm going to spend too long in here. Get a brief overview though. Feel the water coming in. Downstairs, I had a glance, is covered by like an inch of water, so it makes it quite hard to walk around. A lot of old TVs. I'm not surprised these were left, to be honest. They're definitely outdated. Hardly see those anymore. The ones that would come in the class on a trolley, that's literally it. This modern block housed more simulator chambers that soon became so common that we lost our initial encapsulation. Opposite to them, many offices boasted their furniture and items, possibly where learning pilots would be briefed on what they would work on across the hall. Here's another flight simulator, but this one actually has a window, and it's a bit smaller than the others. I'm not sure for the reason of the window though. I'm not going to go in really, because that security's cabin right there, I'm pretty sure it'll be very visible. Unfortunately, the storage cabinets had everything removed when the training centre closed. Therefore, we progressed away from this uninteresting part to more offices underneath the second floor decaying corridor. Here's where the water starts to get bad. There's hardly anything down here, to be honest. Probably going to try and find our way into another building. See what we can make of that. There's a lot of stuff in here. Seems like they use this as a storage space. Loads of filing cabinets, just random components dotted around in bags. Sadly, all the water from upstairs, which is the really decayed part, is coming down and destroying everything. You can see each cabinet had an owner, a worker here, dating back to 2010. An old typewriter.
Another boardroom. It's nice with the old TV in the corner.
Another simulator. This one's actually here. Oh wow, this one's actually a bit different. You can kind of see the cockpit from the outside. I think I prefer this one, to be honest. I mean, I know the other one wasn't in its full form as it had been stripped a lot, but this one just looks cooler. It's pretty much the exact same inside in terms of level of strip. Well, you can see where the gauges were, which is pretty cool. I don't think that panel was there on the other one. Again, in this simulator's cockpit, we could see all of the switches and panels the pilots would have operated whilst experiencing a virtual reality of aircraft flight. Over time, it would enable them to quickly soar into air travel around the world without touching a real plane. If you would like more information regarding the many simulators left at the campus, many of which we didn't include in our recording because they were all identical, we highly recommend watching part 1, where we talked about them in more detail. Meanwhile, we were moving outside nearby to the security's cabin, where one massive warehouse was yet to be explored. A gaping hole made for a fast entry, luckily, as moments later security came very close to where we just were. However, completely forgetting about the danger we just escaped, we stood before the most impressive room of the training centre. Towering mock aircrafts raised by platforms in the gigantic space were once actual planes converted for practical assessment. Most noticeably, the carriage of a Boeing 747, a double-decker plane, was situated in the centre of the room. Here, trainees would have endured demonstrations for cases inside and outside of the plane, such as using the emergency slide or engine failure.
These are so cool. Apparently they are real planes as well that are converted for the training use. This one especially, I mean it's 2 stories. I've never been on a 2-story plane. Can't wait to go inside.
It was a bizarre but fascinating room, and once again something that you would only find in this sort of facility. We began to cautiously work our way around the room, remembering of our fortune moments earlier that gave us the chance to see it in the first place.
This one is just
A life-sized plane. Nothing in here though.
so weird to see planes indoors. Completely new. Never knew there's a little control room here though. Maybe this is just for the test. Window daylights. Yeah, I think it is. I don't think this is actually in a plane. These are the oxygen bags that drop down when there's an emergency. There's a control panel. It's fake with the gauges being stickers, but it's pretty interesting. I guess this was just for learning and they weren't really flying it, like it wasn't moving around like the simulators we've seen. But yeah, hopefully there is one in here that is like that, that isn't stripped out.
With the important situations the flight attendants and pilots would focus on during the training, it makes sense out-of-service planes were used to create these scenarios. British Airways desired the most realistic teaching possible so the students could move on in no time to the real deal. Next up, we headed to the largest mock aircraft in the space, curious to see how the interior was kept.
Okay, in we go. That's how you get onto a top floor, it's like a spiral staircase. Seems to have been moved around quite a bit. There's another control panel like in the other plane. Oh wow. This is almost surreal. I've never been in an abandoned plane, but this is probably the closest you'll get without being in one. The screens are cool. And then as usual the kind of cheaper seats are at the back. All set up.
The fraction of the Boeing 747 that had been maintained seemed to boast its original floor plan and hadn't been changed too much as we'd expected. First and second class seating might have even been the same that passengers would have sat on when the plane was airborne.
Heading upstairs in the plane. Oh nice. The seats are up here so much better. The arch is very prominent too, probably due to the weird shape of it. Let's have a look at the cockpit. Oh wow. Yeah, this one is a lot better. Still stickers though and fake. But I don't know, there's more space in here so you can get a better awareness of how small and compact everything is.
Reading the comments of the first half of our documentation of the site, we found many were also surprised that a multi-million-pound transformation had been left to rot in the damaged structure. It left us wondering why the simulators and mock planes weren't donated to a different airline or even placed in a museum, but maybe a better system of teaching is being utilised now that doesn't involve such practical methods. On the top floor, more standard seats remained, with less space than downstairs. After seeing the cockpit that shared the fake sticker effect we'd seen in the smaller aircraft, we left to seek the other vehicles in the far side of the hall.
This one has some seats as well though, it's very stripped. I feel like they built some of them for each specific event they wanted to teach. And this one's kind of in the process of getting built. And it's quite vandalised as well.
The further back we got, the less detailed they appeared, which suggests that the demonstrations would have been more basic and less interactive in them.
These are the two different types of seats, and they're on show. I'm sure the air hostesses and any other attendants would have to know exactly the insides and outs of the plane in case anything went wrong. This one's got a small cockpit. More seats. Very trashed in here though with high-vis jackets for some reason. I think this one is the definition of a model. It doesn't even have the gear sticks that the other ones had for testing.
Ground supports and pistons makes us think that some of these models would have moved just as the cabin simulators would have, although we didn't realise it at the time. The cost to run these heavy pieces of metal must have been very high, so we would assume that few test runs would occur each day. Following the exploring completion of the demonstration hall, and also due to our close encounter with security, who obviously figured more people would be attempting to get inside that section of the college, we moved on to one of the final buildings we hadn't seen.
There's a huge room in here. Wow. This is a big computer room, or like a big office space. So many chairs and desks. I quite like the little hanging lamps too, it makes it seem like a restaurant. Just very trashed. So that was the Paying People Service Centre. This corridor is pretty sick. It's like small little offices for, I think, each airport.
The vandalised but ornate computer structure turned out to be the last one we would see on our visit, because off camera the patrolling guards were walking around the building and almost caught sight of our group through the windows. With little else to see anyway, and after spending a total time of 10 hours in the premises, we decided to call it a day while still undetected. Our exploration of the British Airways Training Centre had been one of our most memorable locations of the last year, and we were so happy that we managed to film it properly, able to showcase it in depth to our best ability. The complex offers so much interest to us with what we hunt for in these buildings, with prominent decay, important significance, historical value and unique, fascinating items and equipment left behind. It was everything we had hoped for in an abandoned property. We hope that we documented it to the highest quality and you enjoyed coming along with us. As for the campus itself, we are unsure what will happen to it. Its land is in a key position to Heathrow Airport, so we predict that it won't be abandoned for too long. In the future, the mostly modern and non-listed complex will be demolished to make way for housing or offices. For now, with the summary of costs for asbestos removal and flattening, it sits dilapidated, with deterioration to continue for some time. It sits in the shadow of the very place it would build up the character of its students who dreamed to operate there, unforgettable in its importance in British Airways flight history. Here are some of our photographs from the second half of our exploration at the training centre. If you like the look of them, check out our Instagram page where we post images from our explores months before they are shared on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We truly hope you found interest in this two-part special. Remember to check out our print bundle available for this location on our website. See you next time.